To talk more about this, we are joined from London by former ambassador to the Arab League, Ghayth Armanazi. Ghayth, thank you for joining us. First of all, Druze leaders said that they have reached a ceasefire with the Syrian government. Do you believe this truce will hold? What are the risks if this collapses again? Because Tuesday we saw a ceasefire that only lasted a matter of hours.
Well, that is good news if it lasts. Yesterday was another example of a truce being announced but not respected. I hope, as all Syrians will be hoping, that this agreement, this ceasefire, will be lasting this time, because Syria cannot bear another bout of fighting that we've seen examples of in the last few days. It has many problems of recovery, of healing the wounds of 12 years of civil conflict. It does not need another conflict like the one that could have spread from the battles last night and the nights before.
Okay, yes, Israel has now launched multiple strikes on both Syria and on Damascus as well, including direct hits on the military headquarters of Syria. So how significant is this escalation? What message do you think Israel is actually trying to send to both the Syrian regime and to the Druze community likewise?
Well, Israel is being, of course, enthralled to a policy that is adopted now for many, many months, if not years, and that is bombing its way to some kind of regional hegemony, if you like, and spreading death and destruction as it does so. What it's doing in Syria is very dangerous, very risky, and threatens the very fabric of Syrian stability, which is very important, not just for Syria itself, but for the region as a whole. So Israel must be held to account for this policy that it's following, and which I say, and I repeat, is a policy that seems to be adopted all over the region, not just in terms of the conflict in Syria.
Ghayth, I want to show you very quickly, the Israeli strike was very close and caused damage to the Arabiya Bureau in Damascus. So take a look at this footage. This is our office windows here being shattered in the blast, a very stark reminder of just how close this fighting has actually come. So it is quite worrying to see footage like that. And Israel is saying it acted to protect the Druze community. Now, Syria, meanwhile, they're saying it is a legitimate self-defense. And the US allegedly asked Israel to stop the attack. So there's a lot of diplomacy going on behind the scenes here. But is Syria's action actually justifiable? Under international law, at least, is it justifiable?
It is laughable that Israel should pretend that it is acting to protect minorities. We know how it treats its own minority Palestinian population. So for it to claim to be a protector of the Druze is absolutely ludicrous. Even the Druze community itself, or leaders of that community, have rejected the claim by Israel, or rejected the idea that they should be protected by an enemy like Israel. Their future and their destiny, as they say, as most of them say, lies with a united Syria. And that is where all efforts should be maintained. And let's hope that the lessons learned from the few days of the last few very unhappy and sad events will not be repeated.
Ghayth, we are hearing that this was reportedly a peacekeeping mission initially, that the government said it descended into complete violence. How did this happen? What was the story behind this?
Well, it depends on which narrative you believe. There are conflicting stories and about how and why this conflict suddenly erupted. It's said that it started with a personal incident between an Arab tribesman and a Druze, but who knows? The thing is, it's being exploited now by all sorts of actors who do not wish well for Syria and for its people and for its also components like the Druze and others.
Tell us a bit about the backstory, because people may be unaware, but how stable are things in Syria at the moment, first of all? How has this unstabilised things even further, in your opinion?
Well, there are always experiences of the past that one can turn to. And the thing is, if we try to light the fire of division and sectarianism and ethnic problems and difficulties, then there's no end to that. We should be looking at the future for all Syrians to be looking at a process of inclusion that involves them all. And the government has a challenge, I have to say, to maintain and emphasize that inclusion, an inclusion that reflects the diversity and the positive diversity of Syrian society, as I see it.
Possible for that to happen, do you think, or are we quite away?
Yes,
okay, because
yes, examples of the past actually are quite important. The French, when they took over the governance of Syria 100 years ago, actually established 5 or 6 different little statelets in Syria, including a statelet for the Druze. That didn't last long because it was resisted by the very components of Syrian society that we see today trying to mend their fences and trying to mold into one society. Diverse society, yes, but a society that can work together positively.
Ghayth Armanazi, who is the former ambassador of the Arab League in London, thank you so much for joining us and having a chat.